Encouraging is the first part of this. Just because you love your city doesn't mean that your city loves you back equally. Right? Hashtag understatement of the year. Just because you love your city doesn't mean your city loves you back equally. So here Jesus is. He makes this declaration about all these good things that God wants to do. He wants to open blind eyes. He wants to set captive free. He wants to remove burdens and roll back debt. He wants all these jubilee activities to take place in your life. And when he finishes the message, Luke chapter 4 and verse 28 tells us that they were furious with him. And in verse 29, jumping up, they mobbed him. I've had some bad Sundays, preached some lousy sermons. You've been a kind congregation for a long time, and never have I been mobbed. Here Jesus is telling us what he wants to do for us, and they mobbed him and forced him to the edge of the cliff on which the town was built. They intended to push him over the cliff, but he passed right through the crowd and went on his way. Just because we love the city doesn't mean the city is always going to love us. And I'm saying that this morning because the fact is, as a church, we're going through some times of opposition. And let's not pretend otherwise. And some of the opposition that we're going through is self-imposed opposition. I've tried to lead our congregation with transparency over the last couple of years. We have self-induced opposition in some cases. We have some global leaders who've done some sinful things, some hurtful things. A culture that hasn't always been as appreciative and extending care to every single individual who's a part of our church. And we're mindful of that. We're brokenhearted over that. We're doing what we can in these days to be present to that and to remedy that and to change that so that the future isn't an extension. But at the same time, I want you to look around you here this morning, because even though we've had some bad days, even though we've had some leaders who've done sinful and stupid things, this room is filled with people today who have had no part in that, who have lived faithfully, who have lived godly lives, who have been generous, who have contributed, who have served. And sometimes it's so easy to get stuck on what's wrong without focusing on what is right. Again, this is not to dismiss what's wrong. It's not to be absent to what's wrong. It's not to deny what has gone wrong. But it's simply to say, as we're working on that, we can't get stuck in our pain forever, because the Great Commission is still waiting to be fulfilled. The Great Commandment is still waiting to be fulfilled. And I believe the Great Commission is the mission of Jesus in his church, to preach the gospel, to demonstrate the gospel, so that people who are on their way to a Christless eternity can be interrupted by the loving witness of a church and have their eternal destiny changed and be brought into a relationship with our living God. The mission matters to me because I believe hell is a reality.